Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Janice and welcome back to another discussion. And today is part 5 of the winter series mini series. Oh no, winter season mini series. Part 5 out of 7 part, and today we will talk about Polar Night. This one I don't think necessarily involves winter, but when this happens, I think it's around winter season as well. So yeah, it's pretty much about winter season as well. So yeah, let's actually start. Polar night. What is polar night? Polar night is a phenomenon where the nighttime lasts for more than 24 hours that occurs in the northernmost and southernmost regions of Earth. This occurs only inside the polar circles. The opposite phenomenon, the polar day or midnight sun, um, occurs when the sun remains above the horizon for more than 24 hours. Okay, there is the picture over here. The characteristics: polar night, blue twilight, long year Bayan, Svalbard, Norway, located at 78-degree north. Okay. Yeah, the sky is just blue, right? It's not really nighttime, but it's also not daytime as well because there's no sun. And it's not that dark because the sun is still there, maybe like just behind this, right? Like, let's say this is the horizon probably, and then the sun is probably like over here. So it's somewhere there, but it's not visible, right? But yeah, and then there is this polar night and aurora australis at the South Pole, Antarctica. Okay. Oh, there's actually building there. I thought there's no one in Antarctica, but apparently there is. Okay, so here we go. Um, how do people live in Antarctica? That's actually an interesting question. Do people live there just because they live there, or do people live there for doing something, like let's say working? I'm not sure. Is there really civilization there? I'm not sure. How do they grow plants? I'm not sure. How do they find food? How do they find gasoline or fuel in general? I don't know, and it'll be interesting to discuss about that. Maybe I will talk about that. I think the chance for me in discussing about that is quite high. Um, yeah, because I kind of want to talk about that actually. Anyway, Polar Night. Okay, there's that. Polar Night in Naryan Russia, December 23rd, 2014, 11:27 noon. The altitude of the sun is minus 0.4 degree at this moment. So it means that the surface is probably 0 degree, and then minus is probably like just barely down there, and then the sun is not up, therefore it's pretty much still nighttime. There's no sun, so yeah, there's that. And as you can see, this looks bright, but this is not daytime. This is polar night. And I think this phenomenon is kind of interesting as well because of that. Because there is no sun, it's called polar night. There is no sun, it means the temperature will be cooled down, and therefore this pretty much happened during winter season. So it kind of has some connection there, right? But yeah, night is understood as the center of the sun being below a free horizon. Since the atmosphere refracts sunlight, the polar day is longer than the polar night, and the area that is affected by polar night is somewhat smaller than the area of midnight sun. The polar circle is located at a latitude between these two areas at approximately 66 degree, 66.5 degree. While it is day in the Arctic circle, it is night in the Antarctic circle. Oh, okay. Oh, and vice versa. Yeah, it makes sense, right? So if one has polar day, then the other has polar night. If one has polar night, then the other has polar day. It's just how it is, right? Like upside down, basically. Just like when you have summer in the USA, you will have winter in Australia. While you have summer in Australia, then you have winter in the US. It's just similar as that. Um, Any planet or moon with a sufficient axial tilt that rotates with respect to its star significantly more frequently than it orbits the star will experience the same phenomenon, a nighttime lasting more than one rotation period. So you can pretty much have 24-hour nighttime or even more than that actually. Like maybe 30 hours of nighttime, I'm not sure, but there's that. Description. I thought we already know the description. Okay. The polar shortest day is not totally dark everywhere inside the polar circle, but only in places with about 5.5 degree of the poles, and only when the moon is well below the horizon. Oh yeah. Regions located at the inner border of the polar circles experience polar twilight instead of polar night. Oh, so they have like infinite twilight then. It's almost nighttime but not yet. It's also almost daytime but not yet. So it's always in the middle of those times. That's why it's called twilight. So you have a bit of darkness and a bit of brightness as well. So I guess there's that. I think anyway. Okay, types of polar night. Okay, this one is from early afternoon during the polar night in Tromsø, Norway. Okay, so Norway abbreviate from Norwegia? I think. I'm not sure, but because I'm not sure, I'm just gonna call it Norway as well. I'm not sure if this is the same as Norwegia, but yeah. And then there's Polar Night on Nordkinn Peninsula in Norway, mainland Europe's northernmost peninsula. Okay. Yeah, Polar Night. So this is just night. Although you can kind of see the sun over there. I'm not sure if this is Polar Night or not. Well, this is from sky aerial view as well. When you're down there, like a tiny bit, then you probably don't see this light over there. So I guess you can call it polar night then, but there is that anyway. Oh, this one also, right? Looks interesting because there is like a little bit of light over there, but it's not really daytime. Like this is probably again, this is probably in the middle of the day. Like let's say 1 p.m., 2 p.m., or 11 a.m., or something like that, right? And it's just look like it's kinda in the evening. So I guess that's why it's called polar night or yeah, polar twilight, probably. I'm not sure. As there are various kinds of twilight, there also exists various kinds of polar night. Each kind of polar night is defined as when it is darker than the corresponding kind of twilight. The descriptions below are based on relatively clear skies, so the sky will be darker in the presence of dense clouds. Okay. Polar twilight occurs in areas that are located at the inner border of the polar circles, where the sun will be on or below the horizon all day on the winter solstice. There is then no true daylight at the solar's culmination, only civil twilight. This means that the sun is below the horizon, but by less than 6 degrees. During civil twilight, there may still be enough light for most normal outdoor activities because of light scattering by the upper atmosphere and refraction. Street lamps may remain on, and a person looking at the window from within a brightly lit room may see their reflection even at noon. Oh, that's actually a little bit scary as well, as the level of outdoor illuminance will be below that of many illuminated indoor spaces. Ah, I see. So your lights, your lamps, your room lamps probably um, brighter than the outside light, and it's kind of interesting. So if it's like Minecraft value, I would say the outside is probably like 7, or no, let's say like 8 or 9, and then your room is pretty much 13 or 14, right? So it's like the maximum illumination, while at outside it's far less than that. Especially when this happens even during daytime or in the middle of the day or during noon, which is interesting. Northern hemisphere, okay, degree, southern hemisphere, okay. Civil polar night, produce only a faint glow of light visible at midday. It happens when there is no civil twilight, and only nautical twilight occurs at the solar culmination. Uh, it will actually be nice if there is a picture showing the area so that people can pretty much imagine where the location is, right? So that it just doesn't only mention in degree like this, but it will be best if there is actually a picture or I don't know, a gif, or I don't know, like yeah, like animations, right? Just to show about that. So yeah, I'm just saying I cannot make one myself, but I feel like a lot of talented people can do that. So if you can do that, please make that here as well, so that people can imagine where the location is pretty much, and that's just it basically. Anyway, next we have nautical polar night. There is no trace of daylight except around midday. It happens when there is no nautical twilight and only astronomical twilight occurs at the solar culmination. Okay. There is a location at the horizon around midday with more light than others because of refraction. During nautical night, the sun is lower than 12 degrees below the horizon, so nautical polar night is limited to latitudes above. Okay, so that's the location. The northernmost settlement in Canada and the world experiences this from November to January. Oh, that's actually 3 months. Interesting. Um, Udak, a gravel bank at the northern tip of Greenland and a disputed most northerly point of land, experienced this from November to January. And then Canadian territory of Eureka, Nunavut, Norwegian, I guess that's Norway, I'm not sure. And then the Russian territory of Franz Joseph Land experienced this as well. And then we have astronomical polar night, and I guess this is just the same, right? The same, I mean, like similar stuff. Um, yeah, a period of continuous night where no astronomical twilight occurs. So there is no twilight at all. Astronomical twilight happens when the sun is between 12 and 18 degrees below the horizon, and astronomical night when it's lower than that. Thus, is limited to latitudes above 84 and 34, which is exactly 18 degree within the polar circle or 5.5 degree from the pole. I think this one's probably the last one, I think, in which this just night every day. Every day is every night. It doesn't make sense, but it kind of makes sense. So you just only have night, which is kind of terrifying, honestly. Um, and then there's polar sun cycle. Even an observer located on either the North Pole or South Pole were to define a day as the time from the maximal elevation above horizon during one period of daylight until the maximal elevation of the sun above the horizon of the next period of daylight. Then a polar day is as experienced by such observer will be 1 Earth year long. That's actually a little bit terrifying as well. It means that, yeah, it's a little bit terrifying because 1 Earth year long. So the polar day um, is pretty much a year, and again, it's a little bit too scary. Like maybe at 0 degree North Pole or South Pole, this can happen, but yeah, it's just too scary if you think about it. Like, um, I don't know. There is no, what is it like? There is no light, there is no sun. It's just darkness and coldness. I don't think people actually live here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe after this, I will actually look at the Google map and just see if there is anything or any structure like right in the North Pole or the South Pole, right? Which is, I don't know, it's a little bit interesting, also a little bit terrifying as well. But yeah, there's that. A little bit for today's discussion about Polar Night. Uh, at first, I thought that this will be a little bit interesting because the night stays longer, and at first I like that because I don't really like daytime because of how hot it can be, especially in the equator. But now that I think about it, uh, I also don't want like infinite nighttime, so it's a little bit how about we have lesser amount of daylight but a little bit longer nighttime, but not always nighttime, which is a little bit scary, right? Electricity must go on every day. Your lights, street lamps, house lamps, always on. You pretty much can't see anything. Every time it's just nighttime, also, I don't know how that can affect the biological of human as well. Like, let's say, like, think about it this way: when you wake up in the night, or when it's nighttime, you will feel sleepy, right? The thing is that here during polar night, if you go to sleep and then hours later when you wake up, it will still be nighttime. It's just uh, an infinite amount of nighttime. Well, not really infinite. When you're at the outer circle, I think you can still experience sun, but then again, it's kind of the same because it means that you will have nighttime longer than 1 day. So think about it this way: you wake up, you sleep for 8 hours, and then you wake up. It's still nighttime. What are you going to do then? Yeah, like it's interesting, right? About the biological human body. Will your body consider that as daytime or still nighttime? And then you will be sleepy again, and then you sleep for another, let's say, 5 hours. So at this time, you already sleep for about 13 hours, right? So what will that affect to your body? And then if you wake up again, it's still nighttime again. And then will you continue sleeping, or you just, continue your thing? Just like when it's daytime, like let's say go to work, um, I don't know, like farming or stuff. I'm not sure as well how people live in this extreme place because everything's just covered in snow. You can pretty much do anything. Maybe you can do something, but I feel like it will require a lot of energy just to survive in the icy biome. But that's just my opinion. So yeah, let me know. Maybe this is not for civilization. Maybe this is for what is it like working area. But again, things like this looks like apartment, right? So pretty much people live here, but the daytime is the daytime that is still nighttime is not as severe as, let's say, this one over here, right? This one is just pretty much twilight every time, and this one you can still see the brightness, but still no sun. So it's a little bit terrifying as well, if you ask me. Also, how do trees like this grow then, which is a little bit interesting to discuss as well. But yeah, anyway, that will be it for today's discussion about Polar Night. I hope you guys enjoy it. Stay safe, stay healthy. I will see you again tomorrow with another discussion, and I will see you again very soon. And see ya.